Alright, hello YouTube. I am back with another game review. I'm recording this one quite late in the evening after a long day, so I hope that I can still provide some useful analysis. I just didn't get around to doing it earlier, but I wanted to do it today because I wanted to try to keep up doing one per day. And this one is for Mr. Sensitron, new up-and-coming player. I think he started last year, which is really impressive to already be at this amount of elo. Okay, he's playing Cashout, completely fine. This was his initial role, and the Legion spells are Blessing, Hero, Creditor. And with these spells, I would have preferred to try to make a DK roll work, just because Divine Blessing on a DK is absolutely absurdly good. And if you happen to re-roll into APS, you can also play it with Hero or something, and it's just absolutely fucking busted. So I would probably pick my roll around the Shadow Dancer, but there's nothing wrong with picking this roll either. 5 workers start with Gate Guard. These units give you a really solid early game. Sure, the Mudman, you'd prefer to have like the Badger, but then it's a little bit rough um, with the early game because yeah, you really need Mudman, so you have to pick something like this. It's not ideal. This is probably fine. You could always open with a flower and the ranger and push to 7 workers. It's also pretty stable. Has some weak waves though that one has to play around, so I don't think it's necessarily stronger. It used to be very, very good, but now it's quite weak and you have to, or not super weak, but you have to pay attention on wave 3. You can leak to a 60 cent. Um, so I don't think the role we picked is bad necessarily. It has no magic, but yeah, we don't really have great options. The flower isn't really good where we need magic damage. Wave 5 flower isn't amazing. 11 flower isn't amazing. 15 flower is dog shit. So it doesn't really fill the role of magic damage. Whereas the DK kinda does, right? So another point to try to make a DK roll work. And then maybe don't pick Ranger and pick this or something. Maybe I would have gone for this roll. I don't know. It's not clear. Pros and cons. It's just something to think about knowing the Legion spells. Okay, so everyone king ups on wave 1. I do not love this king up into Fire Elemental on wave 2. It just gives him a very free push to 6 workers, else he has to pay a little bit attention for wave 4, maybe add something for wave 3. But okay, this king up is not the end of the world. I really don't like the income king here, because again, now he's 7 workers and he's under no threat. And if you skip here, or even only send the snail, right? It doesn't cost you anything not to do the king up. You can threaten him on wave 4 and wave 5. And especially with him building so high up, we kind of expect the Harpy. Harpy will not be an amazing combo with Fire Elemental for wave 5. Won't be amazing on 4 because he's lacking tanks. It's not amazing for wave 6. We have great push already, so we can definitely threaten this guy. And I think we're just wasting an opportunity here to make the game of our teammate a little bit easier. Sure, king ups are good with Kingsguard, but I think you end up making his game very, very easy. And I, I mean, that's just me. I don't like making the game of my opponent easy. That's why I recorded the guide on how to be a good teammate. Because I hate it when my teammates just like auto send and king up and all that kind of stuff. And then I get bigger sends and my game just becomes very hard and I have to make choices and gamble and occasionally you will just be wrong or get a 60 resend where you expect 40 and then leak big and you know. I personally would prefer if you played with more pressure. And as you get higher elo, I think in this elo you can probably get away with it. But say you're sending into any really good player If you keep doing this, they will be 10 workers on wave 5, run away with the game, and completely destroy their guy. This is kind of what happened the other day when I got to send into Doofus, and in some of my games where people decided to just income send me, and I was with a good roll, and I just scaled out of the game, and the game was completely free. So think about, like, this king up, I can get behind, because what's it gonna do if we skip? Well, he's gonna push to 6 workers anyway and be safe on wave 3. But if we don't do it, he will probably add an Aqua Spirit or a Buckler or something and be a little bit scared. Probably not necessary with Fire Ellie only dealing magic damage at the moment. But if we skip here or don't do the king up, we have 60 for wave 4 where he can definitely leak, so he has to add like 2 Bucklers and a Harpy. And then we know his build and we can make good decisions. He's probably only 6 workers and not 7 workers. And then we have angles to go for. Especially since we are under no threat, right? I mean, if we get saved on, we can definitely just income a little more. Okay, now for wave 4, we already built the Ranger, and given that we are being incomed every wave, I probably would not have gone for the Ranger, but for the 5-stack Cat. And the reason for that is that I want to have a good opportunity to push on wave 5. I am strong on wave 5 with the Gate Guard anyway, so I don't really need to cover myself with a Daphne build, right? So it's very fine for me to just add 2 stacks on the Cat and add this Proton in the split. I'm same value, but now when I get the Send, I'm not forced into the Daphne. I can just do 2 stacks on the Cat and push 1 more worker, and again threaten him a little bit more. Because as we see, he's 290 value, he has Buckler, and if we don't do this king up, again, don't do a random king up, we have an angle to go wave 6. We could also, in theory, start saving here and aim for wave 7, which would be a good play given that blue is starting Pipsqueak and he will be weak on 7. This guy has a 190 gold unit that kind of sucks on 7. If we look at his build, he's probably going to pivot into Harpies very soon, but Harpies need tanks on wave 7, and this guy is not an amazing tank either. So we definitely have an angle for wave 7, and without this Ranger, we can even push an additional worker, and if we end up getting saved on, we can probably afford the Daphne for wave 6 if we need it, but also a second Gate Guard will just do better on wave 6 anyway. So really, we need this Daphne for wave 8, and before that, it's not super necessary. And by putting this down, we kind of force ourselves to do this for wave 5, and now we have a little bit less push. Okay, we get semi-skipped on, at least we start saving a little bit here. I think this build against a Brute probably leaks decently, a Hermit probably completely destroys this guy. I don't know why our teammate decides to go full into only good units on wave 5 here. Very bad decision, should have just gone 7 together. At the latest here, start saving, go 7, abuse their shared weak wave. We can do king damage on 7. We get the Harbinger for wave 6 by selling. I guess that's fine. Yeah, probably second Gate Guard does better here, but this also sets up us up very nicely for the upcoming wave, so I don't hate it. I mean, we had to income to do this, but given that teammate already sent full here, we weren't gonna target wave 7. But why are we king upping? Why are we giving them like 1 more worker for free? Okay, everyone's just income kinging for fun. I guess no one wants to do king damage. I think we're really wasting opportunities here, okay? And this is the last time I'm going to talk about it, this game, to stop annoying you, also because it stops at this point, but I think there were multiple wasted opportunities in terms of pressuring opponents here. And I think as we go forward in the future, this will be more and more important. Okay, Now we see that they both giga suck on wave 9, so we skip wave 8 and we get incomed. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And then wave 9 hits where we can build a Mudman and be completely fine. And they giga leak. And teammate also giga leaks, but we're completely fine. And now we're in a really good spot. They have 50% king HP, and we're full king with Kingsguard. And now looking at the spells, there's Hero and Blessing in the game and Creditor. Obviously, we don't want to give away a free Creditor. So what we do at this point is we look at their boards. They kind of suck on 12. We are decent on 10. We're decent on 11. We are not amazing on 12, but teammate can have big gun on 12. So it's a very clear 12 angle. We just start saving now. We deny their Creditor. If they income us, we can either push and take Hero and go for a kill on 12, or we can just overbuild and take the Creditor ourselves. And if they skip, we can always match them on 11 and play to win the game on, say, 14, 15, potentially 16. But we decide to income for fun, both of us. And I don't really love this choice. Again, gives the enemy now complete freedom to play, to take Creditor. And this wasn't necessary. This income doesn't really do anything for us. I can understand if you don't really want to full into this guy, but then just skip, honestly. And into this guy, it's a full resend if you want to go. I mean, you can definitely full resend here. He's never holding 10. And with this long wave, I also don't hate it if we're committing to a full resend. Because this guy, let's just hop in game and check this real quick. We had 180 Mythium. Mythium 180. So that's a classic Mole Brute angle or something. And I would be surprised if he was to full hold here. Simply because he's lacking tanks for his Berserker. Sure, he ends up killing the mole, but he will leak the boss on 1500 HP. This is not a major leak, so it's not like super worth it. But on the other hand, our teammate should also be going full here, right? Into WAP X-God, one of X-God's millions of fans on the world. I mean, how can you not be a fan of Mr. X-God 37? But maybe this guy wants to whoop his ass, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. If we resend on 10, I mean, resending 10 is a fine play if we're very confident that we're going to both leak them, because then they are still in an awkward spot. They lose so much gold that they can't really cred, and we gain a lot of gold by doing so this is fine. This income, however, is just, I don't know, it shows me quite a bit that we are lacking a game plan of how we really want to approach this mid-game, how we want to finish them off, how we want to play against their roles, because it's not like we have a clear role advantage or disadvantage. And I think facing these roles late game is like 50-50. Maybe blue and red even have better roles than we do. And talking about rolls, there's something I forget every game, and it's the reroll. This was done on wave number 9, and we essentially rerolled the cat for a Wild Shroom and the Gate Guard for a Pipsqueak. And I think rerolling with this roll, this was one wave too early. We should reroll on wave 10 when we've placed our 3 Rangers, because then we can safely get rid of the Ranger. And I also don't think we should take the Wild Shroom, but I think we should take the Steed. And why is that? Well, because especially, for example, wave 16, we just suck. We just suck. Okay? And how do we prepare some sort of an answer for that wave, well, it has to come via the Sovereign. And when is the Sov good on wave 16? If it gets to pop off early and really dish out its AoE things, because AoE is busted on 16. But we need the Steed to enable the Sov. And on which waves is the Wildroom really better than the Steed? Kinda 14. And that's about it. Like on 15, the Steed is better. 16, it's better. And after that, Steed is just better because Wildroom is a kind of shitty late game tank. So you really want to have the Steed to enable the Avenger. Sure, you're also enabling the one Harbinger you have and potentially like 1 or 2 Protons, but you don't really care so much. So yeah, I would have preferred this, and if we end up having 3 Rangers, we can even consider taking a Boar over the Ranger. So I think we rerolled one wave too early, and we weren't really in need, as wave 9 we got King up, and there's no real point to reroll there. And then we should be really thinking about how we approach this mid-game and yada yada. Okay, so now that we've made this very strange choice, what are we doing now? Well, we kinda expect them to take Creditor, and we want to punish their Creditor. So how do we do this? We try to go wave 12. Our teammate is even picking Creditor, and we're picking Hero. I don't know if I love picking Hero in the spot where we get income tier. We kinda want the cred as well, right? To scale. But Hero is always decent, and it gives us a little bit more push, and if we really want to be aggressive, 12 more push is more good. And then on this wave, teammate shifts gold for cred, pushes hard, and leaks small. And we get 6 king ups. We put down the hero, and we push 2 workers. And I think this is a mistake to push only 2, because this, again, this guy's showing the hero. He's 1600 value. He's not super pushed. He's not gonna randomly push into the snow send. He king upped us here, so he doesn't really want to send us 12, clearly, else he wouldn't king up here. And this guy is most likely Creditor, as he's not showing a spell. So he's probably gonna have the red eyes, and if we want to send on 12, we need a big send. And we're kinda playing to deal a lot of damage or win the game on 12, because teammate sucks on 13, and we also don't have a lot of units prepared for wave 13. So if we go 12, we have to make sure we deal enough damage that it's worth it, and for that we need more workers. And we're not worried about them resending so much, because teammate is gonna hold. But instead, we push only 2 workers. We send kinda questionable. Sensi also posted this in Discord that found a better send with a Ghost Knight. I'll talk about this a little bit, but not super much. But we full prepare for wave 12, which is, in my opinion, a big misread of the situation, because we don't really expect them to resend, I guess, and teammate is super strong, and yeah, I don't know. If we push like 4 more workers here on wave 11, then we can say, well, if they skip, they will die. And then it's fine to full prepare for this wave by like putting down 1 Mudman in the split, not adding this Ranger, not upgrading the Golem. That's 3 more workers, maybe even 4. And then you can full harden because you will deal enough damage. But like this, you have to be, when you see this, you have to be confident that you're gonna leak a red eyes on wave 12 big enough, and that's very, very hard to do. And I think the send is not ideal. And, well, obviously it isn't. But what would I send? Well, first of all, we don't know if he does this or if he does the Doomsday, right? But given that this is not super high elo, most people... I think it would be very, very, very rare to see the Doomsday here. Doomsday is very decent on wave 12 because of the explosion damage, and most people underestimate how good it is. But I would not try to hard counter a Doomsday when the enemy can just go red eyes. Because the red eyes just seems like the very, very natural counter, especially with the harpies. And so how do we counter this? Well, I think Honey Bear is very important. And I think against the splash of the boar, it's also good to send a mole. And then you can probably either go Double Brute or Hermit Robo. Let's test the Double Brute for fun. I think I tested the Robo already. So Hermit. Right, now the bear dies. Now we're kind of losing the brutes, so maybe it's the different send would have been better with the hermit. I don't know. Brutes are also quite tanky and quite decent. And again, this is a 55% league. It's 4 creeps and the mole. What Sensitron posted with the Ghost Knight, yeah, you can check the LNS Discord for this. It's kind of decent. So with the bear, mole, hermit, and robo, we did 68%. Ram, hermit did 48, and ogre, mole, hermit, snail did 50%. All of these are significantly better than what happened in game. It's not enough to kill the enemy, but it's enough to deal like 15% more damage to the king, which would probably be enough to swing the game slightly in our favor. But ideally, you end up having enough Mythium to send like 500 here, and then this guy will leak 80%, and then you win the game on wave 12. And that's what I would have gone for in this spot on wave 11. Okay, but again, we didn't, and we hardened, which again, with 1800 value is probably not what you want to do. Sure, we are not good here, but I don't really like this harden. We're maybe being scared because teammate is significantly under, but he's really, really good here. And we have Kingsguard and a lot of King Ups. I think it would be better not to harden. Okay. And then the enemy retaliates. Teammate is, I don't know, like, I don't understand, like, honestly, okay. This guy is playing to scale, right? He has overpushed for 9. He's playing for crit here. Okay, this is fine. He's shifting here. But I don't know what in God's name this... Oh, what is this? What are you doing? How do you end up with a gun, Aquas, Ranger, Boom Trees, and 2 Slime Sirens for 13? It's just, I don't know, man. It's just beyond me how you end up with this build. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know what the options were exactly. I mean, he doesn't really have a good role. And I don't want to go and check what his options were throughout the game. But holy shit, I don't know how you ever end up with this build on 13. I'm sorry, man. If you're watching this, maybe there's a good reason. But you're just like this build looks like someone asked, hey, what is the combination of units that is worse to have on a board for wave 13? And then you end up starting. Well, a gun is really bad. Ranger is really bad. Aqua is pretty bad as well. Yeah, Treant, especially the Boom Tree, is pretty bad too. And I guess Slime Siren also is not really amazing on 13. And then we ended up picking these 5 units. So yeah, kind of rough. I like that we income Kinger, by the way. It's the correct choice. We get Centaur. I think it's right to build the Lumerian here and also to build it on the hero. I think it's pretty close that we can't afford the Sovereign here. I think Sovereign on this hero is probably better than the Lumerian. But it's close. And if we have to sell split, it's not really worth it. Maybe if we sell this Ranger, it's worth it. I don't know. It's pretty close. I can definitely get behind the Lumerian as well. Okay. And again, everyone ascend, pressure is reset. Now we have to make a game plan, right? We see in terms of net worth that we're Slightly behind blue, definitely behind red. Teammate is gonna fall behind. He had Creditor, which at this point we know for sure because he would have shown other spells on wave 12. And he clearly pushed workers for this send, and he's most likely gonna push again. So the question is, when do we want to go, and where can we realistically win this game? Because looking at our boards, we suck on wave 16. This guy is decent on wave 16. This guy has a great roll to delay. So if we end up racing on whatever wave, we're gonna lose. If we had Steed in our roll, we could maybe make an argument for being able to win on 16. But realistically, if the game goes to 16, it's probably an FF angle. So we have to either bait them into a 15 cent, which we can survive with like no push, or we have to be proactive and push very hard, send 15, and just pray for the best, because we're still Kingsguard, we have full king attacks. Teammate can just spam Aquas on wave 15 and leak everything on low HP, so it's not so threatening for the king. We have a Lumerian, we can harden, we can maybe have a Soft, we can have Vileshrooms as tanks. So our 15 doesn't look as horrible, and this guy who has the better roll for 15 is slightly behind. He also on red can in theory leak, but of course we have to rely on a mistake from the opponents. But instead, so teammate does the correct thing, which is like full shifting here and pretending, oh look, we're going full push 15 to bait the send. But unfortunately, we are adding too much to really make this believable. And also at this point we can probably realize that they pushed quite heavily, because this guy is already like minus 30 and there's no point for him to shift really. Like they don't have to make a play to bait a 15 cent. All they have to do is get to 16 and win. And this guy also looks like he didn't really shift. So at this point I think we should still be sending 15. Or we should have like full shifted here on teal, right? This is where you have to be playing as a unit to try to take your one out that you have to get out of this game as the winner. And I know it's hard, but you have to realize that despite power scores being somewhat close, strategically, because of our weakness on 16, we are in a losing position. And if you realize this, then it sort of makes sense to go for these quote-unquote gambly plays. And if you don't realize this, then you will lose this game. And this is what happens. We start building on this wave. Teammate adds a Haven. I don't know what exactly. I mean, I guess he needs some tanks, so I guess it's not horrendous. We add more shrooms. Okay, no one sends, but the fact that no one sends kind of means that we're in a rough spot. And everyone sends on 16, and the game ends, and we lose. Yeah, and there's not so much to say about this. And just to prove the point that 15 could have been a play, let's quickly look at the values. Enemy did definitely overpush here. As you see on wave 15, this guy's minus 600, so he's definitely leaking, because this build, hero crabs kind of needs tanks and value to really use its full potential. And this guy's minus 300. Now imagine if we push a little bit more. But even now, he's building a Fatalizer. He's not holding against like Needler or whatever the fuck else we can afford. So if we go 15 in the spot, we even win the game. And I don't think they would send if we both pushed. They made the call to go 16, which is correct, but they should push less for it. And I think 15 really was the only chance we had, but it's hard to realize this on wave 13, right? I guess the graphs on wave 13 still kind of says you're winning the game, but with the leak, the graphs thinks it's even, but it really isn't because of the build's strength. And you have to realize this, but that's kind of hard in advance to realize, and to realize it quickly enough to then make the correct deduction that you have to go 15. Or full shift, try to bait the 15 cent, which would also be a play. It probably wouldn't have worked in this spot, but I would like it more than to just add and kind of like walk into your doom knowing that you're gonna be fucked on wave 16. All right, so that's my summary. So quickly going through it, I think the roll pick is fine. I would have picked differently, but it's not a big deal. I don't like that we income kings so much in the early game. It's kind of rough. We definitely had a 7 angle that we didn't go for. Then we did go for the 9 angle, which put us in a very decent spot. Then we should have made our game plan, which is either full resend on 10 or skip and go wave 12, especially because of Creditor. We income on 10, which I don't like. Then we decide to go 12, which I think is correct. But after this send, we should commit harder for the 12 play or prepare wave 13, which is where they will retaliate. There are better sends, but this isn't horrible either. But yeah, a better send would definitely have done more damage. Again, I don't like the harden. It's very unlikely that they are going here, and you didn't push enough to be in a good spot if you get skipped. And then 13 hits. Teammate builds very, very strangely. I don't know. Again, this is probably, like, if teammate does well here, you're probably winning the game. His idea was to just win by value, but with these units, even value isn't enough. And then you have to realize that due to your weakness on 16, you're in a strategically losing position, and then you have to make a play. And this play is either bait a 15 cent and skip, or send yourself, whatever, and play for later, or force a 15 cent. And with adding these units here, you're probably you're not taking the one out that you had to try to come back in this game. All right, that's it from me. See you next time.